I stop. Ice what?
Whoa, whoa, baby, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
What's up, boys? So we're here with this year's first State of the Saints heading into blank episode. Today we're going to be doing State of the Saints heading into week 1, the start of the season. Everything's fresh. There's no standings to talk about. There isn't really too much to talk about, but we do have things like the week 1 curse I want to discuss, the injury report, and a couple of others. Before I get on to the series, for those of you that are new or for those of you that aren't familiar with this series, this is the most relaxed series I have on my channel. I say this every year when I start the State of the Saints episodes back up. This is me discussing my opinions on the New Orleans Saints. It's less factually based than anything else. It isn't exactly about the matchup that we have this week. It's more about the team itself. This one is about mainly the matchup we have this week because there isn't a lot to talk about as far as just the New Orleans Saints go. But I do have some tidbits here and there to throw in for you guys so you guys can get a full and better understanding of what to expect coming from these guys in week 1. The things that don't make the preview and predictions and the matchups to watch and the players to watch videos will be in the State of the Saints videos. And it's just as interesting as everything else, but just more laxed. So without further ado, let's get into it. So, State of the Saints heading into week 1. The problem with the State of the Saints heading into week 1 is that the Saints are heading into week 1. And if any of you guys have been conscious for the past 10 years, 6 years, whatever it is, and have been watching New Orleans Saints football, you know that the New Orleans Saints in week 1 for some reason absolutely do not mix. And the fact that we have to play the newly assembled Tom Brady and his Buccaneers, I don't know if it's a good or a bad thing. They've never been on the field together, but it's a star-powered, really overrated team. I'm saying overrated because they haven't played. I'm not saying that they're overrated as in they're not as good as everyone says they are. I'm just saying we haven't seen anything. So overrating them is hyping them up like we did, or everyone else did, with the Browns last year. But we have to play them week 1. Let's go ahead and go over what us New Orleans Saints fans call the week 1 curse. Please, for the love of God, please hope that the week 1 New Orleans Saints do not show up this Sunday. Historically, we're absolutely terrible in week 1. I don't know why, but we are. Since 2014, the New Orleans Saints have only won one week 1 game. One week 1 game has been won since 2014, and that was last year against the Houston Texans. And we barely won that game. We won it off of a game-winning drive. Drew Brees going absolutely surgical and Will Lutz daggering a 58-yard field goal. But other than that, we've lost every other week 1 game since 2014. The main problem with the New Orleans Saints in week 1 has to be our defense. And I cannot stress this enough. We are so bad defensively in week 1. In those games since 2014, the New Orleans Saints have allowed an average of 36 points to be scored by the opponent. I don't understand how it happens every single year, but it does. We have to tighten up. We cannot come out here and allow that many points against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. It just can't be. It can't happen. It can't. I just wanted to talk about that just to give you guys a little bit of context as to what to expect heading into week 1, because it could potentially, based on historical values, be ugly. Does that mean that Drew Brees can't pull us out of it? Not at all. Drew Brees threw more touchdowns last year than Tom Brady did, and Drew missed 6 games. So that says enough about who's going to be the bigger playmaker. It might, I don't know. Tampa has a way better offense than New England. But either way, Drew Brees had the upper hand in the touchdown department. So the next thing I have to talk about on this episode of State of the Saints has to be the New Orleans Saints injury report that came out, and God forbid that there's one injury report that Marcus Davenport is not listed on. I don't think that is possible. Is this dude made of glass? I don't think so. I would hope not. Speaking that he's actually a NFL player, I would hope he isn't made of glass, but seeing that he's on the injury report every week does not help my my thought process on that. So there are 3 players on the injury report for the New Orleans Saints this week. We got defensive end Marcus Davenport, who was listed for an elbow injury and did not practice on Wednesday. So he was DNP, did not practice. We do not know his status for the upcoming game. We do not know if he will be playing. All I know is that because we were not able to land Jadeveon Clowney, it may be a bit of a struggle on the defensive line without Marcus Davenport, because believe it or not, when he plays, he is extremely good. He could have had a double-digit sack last season if he wasn't dealing with injury. That is a reoccurring theme with Marcus Davenport that we have to get him out of to get the full value out of those 2 first-round picks we gave up for him. Really, really hoping this dude does not miss Sunday's game versus Tampa Bay, because that pressure applied by Marcus Davenport is going to be greatly needed. Let's move on to the next player that was on the injury report. We got guard/center Cesar Ruiz. Our first-round pick in 2020 was on the injury report. Now, like I said, I don't know if Marcus Davenport's going to play. I'm going to assume that he is because he has an elbow injury, and I don't think that would keep him out of a game. But I can't say the same about Cesar Ruiz. Cesar Ruiz did not practice on Wednesday due to an ankle injury. Now, not even just as an offensive lineman, but as a player in general, ankle injuries are a huge deal. We've seen what it did to Alvin Kamara. It can completely change the playability of each of these players. It can make them a lot worse than what they really are. And I don't know if throwing Cesar Ruiz out there, his first NFL game period as a rookie with a messed up ankle, is that good of an idea. I really don't know if it is. So I'm really hoping Cesar Ruiz plays. A lot of people were, including me, were a bit skeptical of the pick when it first happened. But that's how it usually is for me, because I am a very recency biased person. I have a lot of recency bias. That's just how I am. But when you look back at it, the reason we lost that playoff game against Minnesota was because of the fact that they were getting so much pressure on our interior offensive line. So getting someone like Cesar Ruiz to play either guard or center, while Eric McCoy shifts to either guard or stays in center, it's going to help us a lot on our offensive line. So I really hope that he's able to play. If he isn't, that sucks. But I wouldn't want to rush out a rookie with a messed up ankle if it is that bad. So let's hope it gets better before game day, which is in 4 days. The next player we have on our list is our second punter, which I still have not received answers as to why we have 2 punters. I don't know if Sean Payton planned something for Blake Gilligan or not, but he's on our roster. He's our second punter outside of Thomas Morstead. He was on the injury report as well. He did not practice with a back injury. So like I said, I don't know what his purpose on the team is, but that's what it is. So that's about going to do it for this week's episode of State of the Saints. I promise you the other ones will have way more content, but this is my outlet for covering the injury report usually. Oh, I forgot to mention, Mike Evans of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is actually suffering a hamstring, groin, some type of tissue injury or muscle injury, whatever it's called. I'm not a doctor, and is actually going to be a game time decision for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But other than that, there's nothing really else to talk about. There's no standings to discuss. There's no playoff implications to discuss. There's no more injuries to discuss. State of the Saints is going to pick up after week 1, and that's when we're going to have the most fun with this series. But I still hope you guys enjoyed day 3 of the daily uploads, and I'll see you boys in the next one.
Zero.